Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Now a couple weeks ago we talked about what were the best cases to pick up, and a lot of those have done phenomenally well since that video. However, what we're seeing overall in the market is quite the opposite. On the majority of items we're seeing very few growths, possibly a lot of stagnation depending on where you look. And today we're going to be talking about why specifically cases and the market overall are in a very dangerous position for the upcoming round of updates for CSGO. We'll talk a little bit more after a quick word from today's sponsor. The sponsor for today's video is SkinSwap. Now SkinSwap is the premier place for CSGO skins and Rust skins. They've got a trading feature with highly competitive rates, they've got a super easy to use selling feature, and if you're looking to deposit today, you're going to be getting a 40% bonus on your deposit. And the best thing, if you sign up with the link in the description, you're going to be getting a free case worth up to $150. So what are you waiting for? Join today and fill all of your CSGO skin needs. This is the Esports Fire 300 graph. It's an overall index designed specifically to help give an idea of where the market is going at a certain time. And we can see, generally speaking, not a ton has changed, especially when we zoom out to the 3-month graph. You can see that a lot of this is just completely stagnant, especially that past month. So what's been going on inside of the market? Well, there's one area we talked about that's been flourishing. That's cases. If we want to look at a lot of rare cases, they're starting to perform extremely well, especially some of the ones we mentioned in that video. Those ones are up potentially 20, even 40% in the past month, which is a very significant amount, especially when we're talking about cases and when we're talking about CSGO investments in general. 20% is a very significant amount in 1 month. However, it's not really hard to see that cases are up. Looking at any graph, you're going to see that cases are on an absolute tear. However, they're kind of alone in that tear, because if we want to look at any other investment, you can see that generally speaking, it's on the way down, especially when we're talking about Stockholm and Antwerp specific stickers. And looking at Stockholm and Antwerp capsules, we're going to be talking about those in a quick second. Now, all of this coming together is extremely important because the CSGO market as a whole is sitting in a very interesting position at this point. When we see a lot of events on the horizon, in my opinion, a lot of these are going to be negatively impacting the market, which is extremely dangerous for a lot of investors, considering we're already seeing a period where we're starting to see a stagnation of a lot of items. I want to repeat, stagnation overall is not a bad thing. However, when we combine the stagnation overall with the fact that we're going to see potentially some negatively impacting events on the market, that's when it can create dangerous positions, which can create a lot of fear in the market and create almost a downward spiral of events that don't have to happen but do happen because people are uninformed. Now, the first event that's on the horizon that's going to be super impactful is the Paris Major Sale. Now, this one is super unique, and honestly, I don't think there's a great comparison to this. That's because if we want to look at the past couple years, there's been so much new money pumped into the sticker capsule game that we have never seen before. If we want to talk about specific capsule investments, we've seen capsules 50x in the span of less than 2 years. Talking about that Stockholm Challengers, obviously it has fallen off and it's not at that price point anymore, but it's still sitting at a very heavy increase, and that's a lot of new money that has been pumped into the capsule game. But the thing is, all of these capsules at this current moment are doing nothing. They're dependent on what's going to happen with this Paris Major Sale. And we can look at all of these capsules currently. None of them are really moving plus or minus 10% more than that from the original price they started the month off at. They are completely dependent on what's going to happen with this Paris Major Sale. That's because people are so unsure if these capsules are sitting at their current lowest price point, if they're sitting at the price point they should be, or if they're potentially overpriced. We don't know, because it's all dependent on what's going to happen because of this Paris Major Sale. Now, with that being said, we don't know if this is going to be a negative or positive thing for the overall market. However, in my opinion, there's a lot more negative possibilities that come with this. It's very possible we could see a lot of capsules decrease once again. I don't think it's super likely, but it's definitely a possibility, looking at the past trends of all of these capsules when Paris came out. And that's why I want you to be prepared for it, because that is a possibility that could happen. Now, talking about the thing that could be the most dangerous for the overall market at this time, it's going to be an operation. I think a lot of people realize an operation usually holds back the overall growth of a lot of items, but at this point, I think it's going to be very detrimental if we see it in the next couple weeks, although I don't think that's very likely. This is because the operation is going to hit a couple different areas the hardest. First of all, it's going to get cases really hard. If we want to look at past examples, cases drop down potentially 30 to 50%, which is extremely detrimental considering a lot of cases are the only growth happening in CSGO right now. This is the possibility to send CSGO into an overall slight downfall, and I don't think that's going to be a super negative thing. However, it's all about the perception of what's happening when we're talking talking about the CSGO market. Now I want to take this example right here. We've got 4x of mouse crafts and 4x of Pain gaming crafts from Stockholm, both hollows. As you can see, it's a relatively similar amount of crafts of each, yet if you go look at sticker prices, one of them is 4 times more than the other. Obviously, like everything else, it's not a perfect example, but it goes to show you just how much perception matters, and that's why it's very possible that an operation could be extremely detrimental. We could see a lot of fear introduced into the market almost instantly, and we could see a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies come true with people worried that their items are going to go down, then they start going down a little bit, and then everyone instantly rushes to sell because they think it's going to go down more. Now, what does this mean for you personally? Well, this can be obviously a very good time to profit. If we want to talk about operations in general, they bring up a lot of opportunity to profit if you have funds going into it, and I'm not specifically suggesting you sell off your items at this time. However, it's always a great idea to consider having some funds on the sideline. Me personally, I've got about $2,000 that I'm looking to pick up investments with. Some of that may be going to Paris, some of that may be going to whatever is on the future, but I highly suggest you at least have some funds always sitting on the sidelines. Not a ton, maybe 5 to 10% maximum, but it can always be a great idea if you want to be able to continually get some good gains. And the reason you only want to have 5 or 10% is because of CS2, the one good thing that is on the horizon for CSGO investing. And that's because CS2 has already shown to be one of the greatest factors we've ever seen when it comes to moving the market. If we want to look at obviously when it happened back in March, so many items increased significantly quickly, and although they definitely did fall off to a certain extent, a lot of that value was held for a decent amount of time, potentially a couple weeks, which is usually a little bit longer than what we see for a bubble, but it's definitely something we could refer to as a bubble if you wanted to. But basically, when CS2 finally rolls around to be a publicly available game, a lot of people are hypothesizing that the CSGO market is going to go absolutely ballistic, possibly returning to those levels we saw previously, and there's definitely a good idea as to why this is happening. If we want to look at bubbles in the past, most of them have been for a completely arbitrary reason, just the overall market starting to heat up at specific times. However, the CS2 bubble is a little bit different. The CS2 bubble happened for a reason, and that's because a lot of people got very excited about the overall Counter-Strike 2 game, and that's a possibility that we could see again, especially when there's a public release of this. The CSGO player count has been on an increasing track since the start of the year. However, it's up an additional 20 to 30% since the release of the CS2 announcement, which is an extremely high amount considering we were already sitting at possibly 1.3 million in peak players. Now we're sitting at 1.8, and that's about as big of an increase you're going to get with the CS2 not being publicly available. Now, with that being said, obviously make your own decisions when it comes to investing, and this is just one of the possibilities that could happen. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.